So first of all, just to introduce myself, my name's Chris Mason. I'm the lead foundation phase coach at Blackburn Rovers for the under-11s and under-12s. I'm going to be presenting on my elite environment placements. I was extremely fortunate enough to visit a club called Vindebart in Norway, and also as well I went over to Sheffield and looked at the campus around the British para table tennis. So they're the two placements that I went to, obviously one football based and one not. So I'll just kind of go through Vindebart first, and then I'll kind of go on to the table tennis section. So reasons for choosing Vindebart: it was part of my development action plan. I wanted to look at kind of a hard work culture. I wanted to look at what allows players to develop in the community, that allows them to kind of move forward into the academy environment, and what the training and programme looks like in order for that to happen and be facilitated. So just a little bit of an introduction really on how it came about. Obviously working at Blackburn full time, I was very fortunate enough to speak to Frank, who's the gentleman on the left of the screen. Frank Sharps is the operations manager for the recruitment department. He's had a vast experience in kind of recruitment for over a number of years, and previously worked at Liverpool, so I think that's where the Norway connection for him has come from. And I was just talking to Frank, and I was just explaining to him what I was doing for ECAS, the programme I was on, and what I needed to kind of do as part of my elite placement. I explained to Frank that I was looking to go somewhere that was community based, that replicated a hard work culture, and straight away he said, I know the place, this is the place for you. He tends to go every year, and he said, Chris, why don't you come along with me? So we did, and it was a fantastic experience. The gentleman on the right, Vidar, he's the operations manager, the chairman. He oversees the entire football club. So obviously Frank put me in touch with him, and we went over and I met him, and he's a terrific guy, so enthusiastic and passionate about football in general. He wanted to know what we did at Blackburn, he wanted to know a little bit about what our kids were doing in the academy training programme, and he was just so enthusiastic, and he wanted to share, but also to steal some ideas, which I found really interesting really. And the club motto, the people who I met there, and the players and the parents and the staff and the volunteers, were so proud of working and being involved in the football club. It was like nothing I've ever seen. Everybody wanted to pitch in, everybody wanted to help, from the smallest things of collecting children from school, or it could have been anything from kind of being a referee on a weekend. There was so many things that people kind of offered to do. It was great. And the club motto, we're going to make the people of Venensela proud of our club, and that kind of resonated all the way through what they did in terms of the day-to-day runnings and the people just involved in it. And this is something that I was really surprised by when I went there. I didn't know what to expect really, but Football for All, it was a massive thing. They value the girls and women's sports just as much as they do the men's, and that was something I found really refreshing. I have a little girl myself, and obviously when you're looking to take your child to somewhere where they're going to feel valued and appreciated, if I lived in Norway, this would be the place I'd be taking her, because they were just so on the ball with everything. And as I say, I think when I spoke to the club sec, who's a female, she said that, like I said, all the ladies feel valued, the girls enjoy it. It was something I'd not seen before, and everybody shared the same facility and the same site. So I think that brought everything together. Just a little bit on the methodology and the community model. They have programs for boys and girls from the ages of 6. They do a multitude of different sports, so it's not just football. There's lots of different sports which I'll show you in a second that they do, and with that as well, it is led a lot by the parents. They are volunteers for coaching, for the younger ages, because only when the coaches coach the under 12 teams and up get paid. So everything below that, under 11s down, is all volunteer work. And what I did see and notice was everybody enjoyed it. The people who were volunteers were sometimes ex-players, they were parents, they were older brothers and sisters, and they were just there to support and help the league coaches, which was fantastic to see. And it just showed that everybody was involved and in it together, really. So that was just a little bit around on the academy model and what they did, and obviously having a big programme for the boys, but also for the girls and the women. This is an interesting discussion I had. It was a coach, his name's John. I had the privilege of meeting him and speaking to him and interviewing him whilst I was out there, and this is just a little bit of a story about him and his experiences and how his journey into football at a young age has kind of moulded and shaped him and what he does now. So this is John. He currently leads the under-15s at Vindabart. That's his role, but he's also a coach mentor for the under-9s to under-16s. So a little bit like our head of coaching role at the academies. For him, just a little bit around his background. He was a player at Vindabart, moved to a big club at the age of 14 and made his senior debut at a really young age. And by the age of 21, he kind of quit and retired. And speaking to him, he was really open. He just said that everything was really pressurised from a young age. He said he was this up-and-coming superstar. He was going to play junior, international level, and people had so many high hopes and expectations for him. By the time he got to 21, he was done. He was done with football. He kind of quit. Didn't really want to get back into it, so he became a bit of a spokesperson really for people in sport, and talked about his experiences and talked about what he went through, and I found it really interesting that now he's kind of at 25, he's decided to go and play back at Vindabart. So he just wants to get back and play and enjoy himself. And with that, he just wants to give something back to the community and the club that have looked after him really as well. He also won a Role Model Award of the Year. He says that's an achievement that for him he really values. He didn't expect to be in the position he is, but from doing the work that he's done, he's really fortunate to be in a position now where he can support and nurture the current players coming through the academy, but also share his experiences and help them when it comes to training and games. So I mentioned multi-sports before. These are just a kind of an overview of the sports, and as I mentioned, it's boys and girls. Obviously being Norway, it's really cold there in the winter months, lots of snow, so we have skiing, a lot of indoor sports as well, such as handball, athletics and orienteering. They take all these things really seriously. Big thing that when I spoke to Vidar about the programme and the importance of multi-sports for them was it allowed them to develop different transferable skills between the sports, but also as well it was a social thing. It was about getting the players talking to each other and meeting new friends at a different sport and playing different sport with them. So it was fascinating to see how they use multi-sports in their programme and how they wanted it to help the players. Speaking to Vidar, I said, is there really an age where you think, well, now that you've played this sport and you're really good at it, you need to concentrate? And he said that between the ages of kind of 14, 15, that's when they'll kind of started to specialise really in one specific sport, because they feel that the training hours and the commitment is really important at that age. And just lastly, just on the people of an Ensler and the people of Vindabart, for me it was about community spirit. It was about the people all kind of tying in and mucking in together to create a programme and an environment that everybody wanted to be a part of. Whether you're a volunteer, whether you're a parent, whether you're a player, whether you're a member of staff, everybody wanted the best for the people involved, and everybody was helping. And I saw that as a real strength and a real key, unique part of their environment, and that's something that when I think about it, how do I replicate that at Blackburn Rovers, and what do I do to get those messages and that feeling of culture and environments instilled into our parents, our players, our staff. That buy-in is something that I'm continually asking myself, what can we do to get that, which is an ongoing challenge for, I'll probably say, quite a lot of academies and football clubs. Yeah, so just on summary and next steps really, I think the big thing for me is, how do I take all those things that I observed, that I really liked about the football club and what they did, and that community spirit, and how do I implement them and kind of manifest them into what I do at Blackburn. I think for me it's about speaking to the people in the management team, speaking to the parents, speaking to the other departments in the academy, and getting them and their feelings on what we need to do that could be better or enhance what we already do, and just getting everybody involved, whether it's a fun day, whether it's parents have more of a say, just something that's going to kind of bring the players to the club a little bit more and get them feel a part of it, and that's something that I'm really keen and enthused about doing. Just moving on, obviously to my next visit, which was the British Para Table Tennis, and as again, my reason for going there, I wanted to see how kind of psychology and multidisciplinary team work together to create elite athletes. What were they doing that enabled athletes to perform at the top level, whether it's World Championships or Olympic Games? And again, it come from another conversation at the academy with our club psych, who also oversees the psychology programme for the British Para Table Tennis, Andy Hill. I spoke to him about my ECAS programme and what I needed to get, what I was looking for, and he said, well, a bit like Frank did, why don't you come up to Sheffield, have a look at what we do, observe the training, speak to some of the coaches, speak to the players, and just get a real feel for it, which I did, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Just a little bit of background on table tennis really. So, largest Paralympic sport in terms of athlete numbers, so it's continually growing all the time, and participation is, and it's played in over 100 different countries, and it was included in the first Olympic Games in 1960, so it's been quite prevalent in Paralympic sport for a long time, and I think that's why participation numbers are ever increasing. Disciplinary routine is something I spoke to Andy about whilst I was there. Big thing for them and their purpose is to develop a sustainable, progressive and influential organisation for para table tennis in the UK. So that's their purpose, that's what they want to create. And when I looked at it, this was something I spoke to Andy about. It's how do they do that? And obviously the environment's really important, what they do with a challenge and support, and then how it works between sports psychologist, athlete and coach. And the big thing for them is it's got to be player centred. So the player's the most important person. How do they get the best out of that individual? Their relationship is tend coach would speak to athlete, and coach would tap into the psychologist, and they discuss how they feel and what they think and what do you think we need to do in terms of the training programme, the competitive programme, and they create and build a a model that's going to improve that individual and what they need. So, as I mentioned before, a little bit on the athlete profiling, it's all about player centred. It's all about getting to know the athlete and getting to know the person and getting to know their hobbies, their interests, their likes, their dislikes. How do they best like to work? Do they want to go directly to the sports psychologist and sit down and speak to them? Do they want to do it through the coach? Do they want a bit of both? And sometimes that's worked. It's really flexible, but it's designed that way where everybody feels comfortable. Coaches and the staff have a really empathetic approach. Quite a lot of things are informal, which makes people feel relaxed. It makes them feel comfortable to say and discuss things. So when I was there, it was just great to observe that and kind of see for myself what that looks like in an elite environment. Most of the decisions as a staff, building an elite environment, this is something I spoke to all the staff about, and the message was quite clear really. It comes from the leadership team, it comes from management, it comes from the people at the top. If you have a strong management team, you're going to have a clear vision, clear purpose, and I felt when I was there I could see that everybody was heading in the same direction. Everybody wanted the best for the athletes. The standards were so high. Players would get frustrated if they weren't doing and training as well as they could be or competing as well as they could be. But then again, it was right. Well, what are we going to do now to change that? So it was constantly, the standards were so high and so particular that you could see from all the staff and all the athletes that they were looking at being competitive. Well, with my discussions with the staff there, it was interesting because they felt really valued and really productive in their roles. Leaders lead leaders. That was one of the things that was said. So it wasn't just always about the people at the top giving the information to the people at the bottom. It was about the people at the bottom giving information to people at the top. They can digest it and they can discuss it, and then, you know what, we're going to go with that idea because it's better than what we thought. And nobody was too proud to be able to say it wasn't. So that was something when I was inside some of those meetings, it was really interesting to witness firsthand. And also as well, they constantly look to review things. They were constantly reflecting. So the IAP, as I mentioned before, that's going to be done with a player as of next year. Constantly looking to see what they do differently and improve the experience for the athlete. What do they need more of? What do they need less of in order to make them successful in these competitions and qualifying stages? And that for me is something I look at obviously Blackburn. When I look at the standards that we have, I'd say they're really high in terms of some departments, and then I'd look at it from other sides and think, well, we could definitely do that better. Better communication, better leadership from top to bottom, and then I quite like that phrase, leaders lead leaders. So how do us as staff kind of push and make the programme better from the ground floor? Kind of a summary really, just on what I saw in terms of the actual 3 days I spent there. It was definitely an environment that you wanted to be a part of. I think the athletes were challenged, they were stretched, they were focused, they were engaged, they were happy, they were always smiling. That was something that I was surprised at. Even the training was hard, but they were always smiling. It was really engaging from coach to player. The psychology part of it really impacts the programme and how it's delivered and makes it stronger. And that's where I look at and compare it to what we do at Blackburn, and how can we work better as a team? How can we support each other's department, each other's players, each other's organisation to produce a really good programme. Do we do enough to get everybody involved and be able to challenge our players to the best of their ability? And from my point of view at the minute, no. We need to work a lot more with the players individually on what they need, because they're all at different stages of the development, but they are also at different stages of how much they can be tested and challenged. And I think, as it was mentioned, it's about getting to know the player-centred approach. Take time in finding out about your players. You don't just turn up to coach and you go home. It's more than that. You've got to really invest in the people you're coaching, and then I think you'll reap the rewards longer term as well. Massively fortunate enough to kind of go to these two amazing places, and for me it's about taking stock of what I've learned, what I've observed and what I've seen, and then being able to implement and impact the academy and the staff that I work with. So that's something that I'm going to look to do moving forward. I'm certainly going to talk about how we have a better work hard culture, how we implement that in the programme, because as I've seen what Wunderbar, it works, everybody's in it together. And then again, from like a psychology testing point of view, how do we challenge and support our players to maximise their potential when the training and in games. So for me, I'm really excited and enthused to be able to kind of come away from this project and implement that at Blackburn. Thank you very much.